or whatever. That's my trying.
What's your deepest secret?
But no, I mean, just bouncing off the conversation we're having right now, and just knowing the history of your guys' band. You know, you guys have been a name I've seen on flyers since when I started playing. When he was going to shows 10 years ago, so it's been a long ride for you guys. What can you tell me about what you've seen from the crowds? I mean, just crowd tonight. How has it changed? How has the local perception for the music you've been playing shifted at all, or?
To me, it seems like I didn't recognize anybody. So it's entirely refreshed itself. It seems since the last time we were here in Indio. I think the last time we were here in Indio, maybe like 10 years ago. We were playing for a friend's birthday, and actually he was here tonight, which was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
10. Something like that. I feel I could be exaggerating a tiny bit, but it's been a long time since we've been in Indio. There was a venue that our friend ran. He passed away a couple years ago. His name is Gilbert. A really good friend.
Gilbert
really
Lopez.
Yeah, really good dude.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace, exactly.
And he was kind of throwing shows out of his own backyard. His mom was cool with it. Neighbors were cool with it. So
It's called he called it the Death Church. So we'd all just come. That was like the name on the flyer and with the address and stuff like that. So we come and play in Indio here on Sunset, like right down the way.
Coachella.
I remember seeing the flyer too as a kid. Like it said Death Church. I was like, damn.
That's scary.
That's hardcore, bro. The Death Church.
A super friendly environment.
Just some homie's house.
Yeah,
So, like,
it was really nice. It was a cool time. So playing here tonight, it's like an entirely different crowd since the last time we were here, like 100% different. Except for some of our old friends that showed up to see us tonight.
Yeah, but mostly they're just new crowd.
Yeah, it's fucking cool for sure. See,
Definitely.
that that's still happening, you know.
What are kind of the steps that needs to happen to still be able to put on a show like this at this?
A lot of dedication, a lot of practice, and just fucking going out there and just doing it.
And we don't practice a lot. Like we didn't practice.
I heard this guy like, what?
We didn't practice much at all before this show, and it's like, but it's fine. I mean, like we've been doing this shit for a long time, so it's like muscle memory kind of at this point. Once we get together, it's like, oh, it's like whatever, we're doing this shit again. We've been playing these songs for fucking years already, anyway. So
It's the formula's changed since when we were kids. When we were younger and we were discovering how to jam with each other and how to make music together, we would often make songs together. Like we'd play them through, and everyone contribute their tiny piece. On the first album, I kind of wrote all the stuff, and it was just because I was the guitar player at the time, so I was just writing the riff, and then the band would follow me, and then I'd write lyrics, and then the band would follow me. And the second album, we all kind of got together and we started like use that same formula, but we had like a melting pot kind of where everyone was writing different parts, and it ended up being kind of a different experience when it was finished. To where now it seems like when you have a song, you just make your song entirely, beginning to end, and you bring it to band practice, and then you teach it to the band kind of thing. So there's not so much rehearsals anymore as much as it's a lot of independent study, because we've already known each other for over a decade, and we've made music with each other for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
and busy schedules.
You got that trust there now.
I know what he can do, and I know what my brother can do. Like for example, some of the riffs that I write are kind of goofy, and I can't play them as well as I should be able to. But I just know that he's very fluent. So if I can teach it to him, I can kind of have my way. You know what I mean? Despite that, I'm not as good a guitar player as he actually is.
But Joey will take it. He'll polish it.
Give it a lot of style.
Yeah, give it some more style and get a good fucking rhythm going.
And Robert's just always been a very thunderous backbone, so we're kind of already like halfway there as soon as we start anything, because he's just very tough and mean sounding, which is kind of how it's the sound of our band, just going for like a very brutal, abrasive assault, you know what I mean, kind of thing. That's kind of why I keep my lyrics very very up and in your face, and there's a lot more singing in my songs than there is in the average punk song, because that's just something I always liked. I always liked when the singer's kind of like, really giving to you.
Our last band was talking about how it doesn't seem how a lot of bands are willing or able to do the DIY thing at their house. I mean, we had Death Church, we had the Cathedral of Hardcore in Cat City.
Yeah.
Why do you think the scene has refreshed the way it has? You don't see everyone that you did in past shows. What do you think the reason behind that is?
I think just life in general. Everybody grows up, things change, you know, families change, grow up, make their own families, and then also, like, we don't have the population or, like, the traffic that we do, like, you would get, like, in LA or San Diego to, like, keep the scene alive, you know, kind of like older brothers teaching younger brothers, or, you know, cousins, you know, oh, listen to this band, or, you know, listen to this music, and, you know, just kind of trickles down, and I mean, just...
You gotta really, like, out of all the bands that used to be around, we're probably, I'm not gonna say we're one of the last, but, like, we're one of the few that are still around from the era that we started in. And it seems to me like it's something that's fun to do, but that's what it was to most folks. It's just something fun to do. Where some of us were actually core musicians, and it seems to me, I mean, there'll be a time where I stop trying to be seen and heard, but I'll definitely be making music until I can't anymore. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of that I saw hanging around, and there wasn't a lot of love that I saw being put into a lot of the music. It was just kind of like, you know, TV dinner-ish, to say the least. You know, like, we want to be on stage now. Can we please? And here we all are with our instruments. Whereas some of us were just like, man, you know, having a broken bass string can put you out for a long time, because we didn't really have, you know, it on demand that way. So to continue our band amongst ourselves the way we did, it was really something that we were really dedicated to do, because we didn't really have, you know,
didn't really have much.
It was, yeah, it's not like Robert said, it's not a place that's just constantly encouraging you with amazing crowds every show. You know what I mean? You can show up and it'll be, I just learned to always give it my all anyway. You know what I mean? The no crowd too big or too small kind of thing, and there's always somebody who remembers a really good performance, and
yeah.
I'm always bummed out on somebody phoning it in because they're not stoked on the crowd. So I try not to ever do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just see it as like a band practice, I guess. If it's like not much of a crowd, it's like we just band practice.
Well,
we drove 2 hours over here.
Yeah.
We always play, and we're always grateful to the people that brought us out. And a lot of times we'll be super apologetic about people not showing up, and we're like, dude, it's like really the only time my brother and Robert ever really hang out anymore, it seems, when we do, you know, when we perform and rehearse.
That's why we still do it, for sure. That's why I still do it.
Yeah, if you want to, like, look at a bigger picture and analyze what's actually happening here, it's just the camaraderie between the group itself that keeps the attitude positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if there wasn't very many people here tonight, we would still be sitting here doing an interview.
Having a good time.
Enjoying each other's company, you know what I mean? It's just great that there's a lot of kids here that were enjoying our music tonight.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that, honestly.
Didn't expect that big
was
crowd.
fucking, I felt the love, for sure. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Some love out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good
100%.
vibes.
Yeah, the kids like aggressive music to release some energy, and we definitely we're writing some new music right now. Some of it's been in the studio and it's in its recording phase currently, but we'll be releasing most of an album throughout this year. You know, month to month on Spotify and every other fucking digital distribution company. Yeah.
Sweet. So, I mean, from an outsider's perspective, and, you know, people who have followed and seen your name throughout the years, I think it's safe to say successful. I think that's a good adjective to describe you guys. You know, with the amount you've played, the length you've been around, the places you've played, how far you've branched out. For bands that are starting out today, many years later from when you guys started out, do you think that the right things are still around for something like that to be able to happen? Or is it kind of like how you were talking about earlier, it's a lot of a mindset type thing that needs to happen?
I think it's a little bit easier now because back in the days we didn't have like social media has like a big impact like it used to. Like we had
shows, connects people easier.
I kind of I feel like
there was MySpace.
Yeah, we had MySpace, and like I guess digressing from the original question, it feels like we did.
We've been doing that a lot.
I feel like I mean, success is in the eye of the beholder for sure. You know what I mean? When kids come and see us, when we're playing our own town, kids come see us, it feels cool. When people listen to us in other countries and stuff like that, that's pretty cool too. I would say my advice to becoming successful for kids that are coming out right now is to practice a lot before they go out there. Like, make sure that they sound the way they want to sound, and they're not, you know, and you got to put in your rehearsal time in the garage, I feel.
Not just trying to be seen. Or,
It's the thing about social media being a tool now that it wasn't before is that it seems like it's produced the noise floor of a lot of unserious musicians. So when it comes to what's new and what's happening, you kind of have a lot of static, and it's hard for somebody to poke through. That's, you know, really putting in the grind. Whereas, you know, putting up your camera and having rehearsal can be kind of seen as like a, you know, like almost a photo shoot for the gram kind of thing, instead of a literal rehearsal with the meeting of minds and the melding of musical talents, so to speak. It, like I said, it's a blessing and a curse. Like I said, if you've got a knack for it, it seems like there's a formula, and the formula is a little too rigid for people who put a lot of. It seems like this is what it looks like to me. It feels like the formula to be successful on social media these days is a bit rigid for someone who genuinely likes to make music. You're like, I gotta do that shit again. Like, I feel like I'm bugging them.
Turns it into a job, kind of, huh?
It does, and if you don't, that gig's not for everybody, and it seems like, I don't know. I think I'm going off on a tangent about this.
I don't think so.
But yeah, it just seems like my advice would be to don't neglect the tools you have just because everyone's using them terribly. But please just make sure that you sound the way you think you should before you start presenting it.
A lot of practice.
A lot of practice.
A lot of practice.
Don't expect to just like be successful right away. I mean, like fucking, you're gonna be jamming a lot of shitty shows probably.
Enjoy that because there's a lot of funny shit that happens. In
Just have fun with your homies. You know, that's like that's the best thing that you can do, even in like those type of situations.
Yeah, just have fun with
just
it.
have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever.
Yeah. So that leads me into this next one. Somebody threw up tonight in your pit. I was gonna ask if that's. I'm pretty sure that's not the craziest thing that's happened at one of your shows, and I'd love to hear just some memories that stick out.
What is the crazy? I know, because I'm usually like zoned into my guitar, so I don't even see what's going on.
Yeah,
out
I'm
there.
trying to make sure nobody crashing into my drum set.
One of the worst
But
things.
that's
one of
happened
the worst
before.
things that's happened.
People crashing into the drum set. Knock the
Yeah.
whole. Oh, a couple months ago, somebody knocked over this guy's head, the whole guitar amp, and
The whole fight.
a whole fight erupted,
I ended up
and
punching the dude.
yeah,
and he got me like a lock, and then he fucking.
I got him in
hit
chokehold.
me.
Threw him
Then a
down.
bunch of homies intervened and like fucking.
It was a big mess.
I just made matters worse by socking that dude, because it just turned into like a big old fucking
Yeah, that's crazy.
problem.
But yeah, I would say one of the gnarly. You know what? Never mind.
Too incriminating.
I mean, I'm just kind of glad it wasn't on film because it was one of those things that would have like, man,
a lot of people would have.
it wouldn't
Turned away.
it wouldn't have went over too well. They're like, shit, these kids are brutal out here. That's kind of one of those things where, like, you were talking about the house venue before, where I was thinking, you can't like so. For example, there's a band that everyone's coming to see, and everybody knows that the band that there's this cluster of bands that is really going to go off, like in this combination, and it's going to be a very intense show. We were part of this little group of bands that were meant to like really set this place off, and the owner of the venue got a hold of me and asked me if there was a chance that we could make announcements about, you know, like toning it down, doing stuff like this, and really it's like a little bit past, like more like mosh directions, like nobody doing this, nobody doing that. And I was like letting them know, I was like, you know what, I can't really, you can't control, just because they like our band doesn't mean they're going to listen to us. And they'll turn on me just as quick as they'll turn on you. Like, I've been in the audience, it's fun. It's, you know, it's fun to be, like when you're being gnarly out there, it's just keeps going, it gets gnarlier, you know? So I'm like, no, I can't tell them nothing. If you're predicting and anticipating this type of reaction from putting all these bands together in this small space, that's the sum of it.
That's what you're in for.
Yeah, kind of.
But get ready.
So yeah, I mean, I think there was a few houses that really understood that and really didn't ask much and just kind of understood it was a freight train and just kind of like tried to direct the tracks more than stop it. Those were the special venues, you know, like you said, the Cathedral Hardcore and the Death Church, and some of the ones. It seems like this place got a pretty good handle on what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a touch of chaos here, but it seems like nobody's complaining or whining, and it's being directed in a new direction.
Yeah.
That's
And
fun.
it's helpful too to have some people. It is a lot of younger crowd, but there are some older people who know like, well, when things get crazy, they take it away. We're not gonna have this spot to use anymore. So
Yeah.
it's good to have some rules in place, some
Yeah.
some thought
Yeah.
behind the chaos.
Yeah, you got, like I said, you got to know what you're anticipating and then try to like make peace with it, direct it in certain ways, instead of trying to stop it and muffle it. You're gonna kill the tone.
Yeah, true.
Especially when you get a bunch of kids with alcohol in them and shit. Like, yeah, it's gonna get rowdy, for sure.
You guys have been around for a long time. Have you seen a change in the crowd? Like, what do you think? How would you compare the crowds from back in the day to, let's say, tonight?
Definitely grew. I'd say like at least what. I don't know. There was a lot of people out there, and usually the Indio shows. I mean, there'd be a pretty good amount of people, but not as packed as it was here tonight.
It seems like things are finally getting back to like people want to go out now more. Like after COVID and all that shit, it was kind of dead. Like shows, like not so many people were coming out to shows. Like we would try to do them, but there were not very many people, and it'd be like dead shows most of the time. But it feels like people are starting to warm up back to like going out and like fucking, let's go do some shit. Whereas
Hang out with some friends and just.
so it seems like it's popping now, for sure.
Yeah, there's stuff happening. It's kind of it's a little bit unfortunate that we're all just a bit busy, you know what I mean, and we're not able to just be as active as we were at some point here in the valley.
We're
Cause
old now with responsibilities.
yeah, we were always playing.
Mortgages.
Got jobs, responsibilities.
But now we're just we're recording a lot and we're writing a lot of music and stuff like that. There's a couple opportunities that we just don't pass on. Like for example, we're playing a festival out in Mexico City, or it's like an hour outside Mexico City in a little town. It's a festival called Punky 2 that happens annually, and it's pretty stacked lineup this year. A lot of bands from the UK, Indonesia, a lot of bands from all over the world are hanging out here. But one of my favorites, Extinction of Mankind, are going to be on the bill, so we're kind of stoked to go be a part of that show this time. We were scheduled to do it in 2019, but or actually it was 2020. We were supposed to do the 2020 festival, but that got
Shut down.
It got shut down. Yeah.
So,
As far as the crowd refreshing itself and being a little bit different, I feel like these kids here are a little bit more here to see the show, whereas the crowd that I remember playing here about like a decade ago was more here to just be together and hang out. It wasn't really so much to see whatever the lineup was, you know what I mean? Although there was some really cool lineups that came through, because there was a few promoters that really cared, and they were kind of experienced in what was going on in neighboring scenes and what was really cracking. So a lot of really cool bands came through as a result of some good promotion. But as far as the crowd being there to see those bands, I didn't really notice that. I kind of just noticed a bunch of people wanting to hang out and party.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe these kids weren't here to see any particular band, but they were really enjoying the tunes. It's a little bit of a, so it's a skewed, it's a parallel, but it's a bit skewed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's my take on it.
Does that? I mean, maybe not, since it's been so long and you still are writing music currently. But I mean, does that factor into how you approach songs and who they're intended to reach? I mean, if you think people are paying more attention to the music now?
You know what? The thing is about the songs that I write, I just it's always about me and what I'm up to. I just understand that the way I explain things is very easy to relate to. So if I'm not specific enough, or if I write it a certain way, it could appeal to everybody who listens to it, if there's somebody who's going to listen to the words. Or it could appeal to a wider audience, so to speak. And I've come to understand, like, because there was a point where I was like, why is my music so negative, and why am I always just preaching negativity? And I've started to realize that I'm just kind of expressing how I feel, and there's a bit of positivity that comes with that if somebody feels the way I do, because there's a tiny bit of nostalgia that comes along with understanding that somebody also feels this way. Although it's two negative feelings, it's just like it's a tiny little spark. It's kind of like seeing the street you live on in a movie. You know, it's a tiny little bit of nostalgia that I'm on this block. You know, I'm here too.
It's like the blues, bro. Yeah, like when fools were singing bluesy shit, like, oh, my fucking bitch left me.
Yeah.
I remember that song.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Also,
although
like, hell yeah, bro.
I'm not
how
writing
you feel.
That was my Will Johnson.
Yeah.
And it's a positive thing in a way, yeah. Like, people can relate. Like, this world isn't all fucking rainbows and flowers and sunshine and shit.
Yeah, so like I said, as far as being negative, I just realized that's what I think is interesting out of whatever the picture that's being painted in front of me. You know, my experience. Although it's a really, you know, interesting and complex picture. There's caves in this mountain, and there's dark things to look at, and there's a lot of things that I just want to explain. You know, and so that's what I do a lot. Just like I said, in a punk rock song, typically you have like a verse and it repeats itself throughout the song. My songs don't really repeat lyrics. It's kind of just a one-time through, you know, and everything's kind of it's writing the songs like a almost like a script. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing all that.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
You guys, for having us.